Are you afraid of nuclear weapons? Maybe you should be afraid of EMP attacks instead. An EMP, an electromagnetic pulse weapon, is a hyper-modern weapon that deploys a pulse that is either created through a nuke or a non-nuclear mechanism like a flux compression generator or a high-power microwave, and it sends a shock wave through an area as large as a city or even an entire country. And when that shockwave hits that area, basically every electronic device in that area ceases to work. It's a process called magnetic flux compression, whereby any electronic device just completely stops working unless it has been specifically secured against an EMP wave. Now, you can imagine what that does to an inhabited area, such a pulse being sent through a city or a country is really the worst possible scenario imaginable, because what's going to happen is not just that, you can't do your stuff, whatever you're doing on your entertainment devices, you can't text people and watch videos, but essentially transportation breaks down, all vital systems in the city break down, anything that you require for running the city, essential services, supply chains, everything in due time breaks down, and you have a situation where you're essentially thrown back into the Stone Age in a complete kind of Mad Max scenario where there is no more working systems, no more functioning systems. This is exactly why experts have estimated and predicted, based on scientific studies, that within a year of an EMP attack on a populated country, 90%, up to 90% of the population of that area would perish, would cease to exist. Now, that tells you everything you need to know why there are lots of big players, all the big players in the geopolitical sphere, basically Russia, the US, China, that are investing in such weapons and that are absolutely prepared to use them in the case of an absolute necessity, in the case of World War III, basically throwing the opposing country into a complete state of dejection and return to a pre-technological age, really turning that area into what you right now know from, seeing on your devices from Gaza. Gaza is the image of what a modern country would be turned into countrywide, nationwide, when hit by an EMP attack. Now, there is actually another angle as well to this, which I want to raise your awareness and attention to. And that angle is not just the Mad Max world that are you capable and able to survive with your family in a Mad Max world. That's not just the only angle. There's another one, which is that some leading new paradigm theorists have proposed the idea that consciousness is actually a phenomenon that arises from the interaction of electromagnetic fields of the brain with the quantum field. So it is essentially an electromagnetic transitioned and mediated process. It's mediated through the electromagnetic field. Now, this is not just speculation from some niche or fringe group. There's some of the important scientists and philosophers of our age that have contributed to this. People like Ervin Laszlo, people like Menas Kefatos, who is a leading physicist in the field, people like Alfred North Whitehead, the great philosopher and Cambridge mathematician and scientist who first proposed such a theory. And according to these theories, if really consciousness is an electromagnetic phenomenon, or it's mediated through electromagnetic fields, that would mean that an EMP attack would be far more devastating than simply to knock out supply chains and the functioning transportation system and the grid of a city. It would be far more than that. It would have aspects and angles that veer into the parapsychological, which most people have not even thought about yet. And what are those aspects? You can think about them already, even though obviously it's speculative, but this is speculation based on actual science, that it's possible that there could be mass confusion, breakout of mass confusion and disorientation of entire groups of people, of masses of people on the street. Imagine running around in complete disorientation, not knowing where they are, who they are, and what's happening to them. Their memories wiped out, temporal distortion occurring, altered states and hallucinations impinging upon the consciousness, and all of that as an added parameter, as an added catastrophic condition to deal with under the already severe conditions of the post-EMP world. Now, there is more that could happen. Psychic phenomena, emotional amplification, mass hysteria, people experiencing emotions that usually they're not known to experience. But also on the positive side, it could be that some people actually develop psychic phenomena that are potentially useful for them, especially with children, that could be more capable and more able to adapt and be flexible and work with the new experience of the modified consciousness field. It could be that we see the spontaneous emergence of psychic and psionic capabilities like telepathy, telekinesis, precognition, and other psychic phenomena. Lastly, we could even see the emergence of entire cults and spiritual organizations, spiritual movements founded on the growth and emergence and proliferation of psychic experiences in that condition. Now, these are all possibilities which they may strike you as coming from a realm of speculation, but in the world that we're living in, speculation and reality are not that far from each other when they're conducted with view to the actual possibilities inherent in the situation. Therefore, you should ask yourself, the phenomena that I mentioned, they may be far, and God willing, we may be protected from them. Nonetheless, ask yourself, are you ready for this?